Hi, I'm Trevor Beck. I'm a freelance audio engineer. I've been freelance for probably over 20 years now. And I have quite a wide variety of work, anything from albums in my studio that we're here now, through to live concerts. I've worked on the opening and closing ceremonies for the Athens Olympics and the London Olympics, as well as multiple Commonwealth Games and other overseas events. And a lot of my work is also post-production and live audio for both location and broadcast events. In the last few years, I think digital has really come of age. It used to be the case that you'd get an analog console and a digital console, you'd put them side by side and you'd play with the digital and go, yeah, it's just not doing what I need it to do. I don't think that's really the case anymore. I think that for the flexibility you get with digital, what you get for your dollar, the fact that to have an outboard processing rack equivalent of what you have built into a console would just be a nightmare of patching and money and shipping and freight, let alone footprint. And we all know in a concert situation that the promoters want you to take as little footprint as you can. So I think for the sheer practicalities, digital outweighs analog all the time. I've used the M380 on a couple of live broadcasts for both 7 and 9 at the Sydney Opera House, and I chose the M380 for those simply because of the speed of setup and the ability to offline program the Roland, take it into the situation, put the REAC box in, run a single piece of Ethernet down to my console. It meant that I can be up and running in literally about 20 minutes from bumping in the gear. And because I'm not mucking around with trying to get multi-cores working, I'm not trying to program things live, I can literally get into the band, get it happening really quickly. And when you're under the pressure of broadcast, there's not a lot of opportunity to go back and fix things if you run out of time. And so I found the M380 really, really good in that setting because it just meant that my workflow was fast and my speed was really good. Like most digital consoles, there's a learning curve. And I was a bit concerned going, how long is this going to take me to get my head around it? But one of the really good features on the M380 particularly is that every section has a display button. So if I want to look at EQ, I hit the display button near the EQ. If I want to see the whole channel, I hit the display button near the whole channel. So navigation is really fast. Also, funnily enough, on the Roland, they've got a help menu built in. And even though at first you don't think that's going to be a particularly big deal, it actually is. And you sit there and you go, I don't know how to patch this output through to that physical whatever, dial up the help menu, and in 10 minutes you go, okay, yeah, I'm done. So again, you don't need to find yourself stuck somewhere and going, oh, I wish I had an owner's manual, because it's actually already there. I think what you get on the Roland console as far as bang for buck in terms of the features, the DSP, the effects, the compressors, the EQ, far outweighs what you get on some of the other consoles. I love the iPad functionality, particularly of the new M200. The fact that the iPad is really a complete console at your fingertips, so you can disconnect from the console, you can go and do everything you can do on the console anywhere in the room, so tuning, monitors, EQ, all that stuff. And yet when you come back to the console, you've got real faders and real buttons. Digital multi-cores, things like the REAC boxes are an absolute godsend. To begin with, you don't have to lug around the copper. Secondly, you don't get all your ground loops and your hum problems that we always used to have. Thirdly, it's just so much faster to run a piece of Ethernet, and with the Roland system you have the redundant cable too, so you haven't got to go, oh, it's a little cable, it might break on me, because you've got a redundant loop. I find with the REAC system I've used, and I don't know all the numbers of the boxes, I've used the REAC merge box, which means I can have drop boxes effectively scattered around everywhere, and then I can pick off what I want down at the console. So again, I'm not limited by the fact that I have a remote header preamp in one spot of the stage, everything's got to run back to that. So again, I can run the stage how I always used to run stages, with drop boxes and remote drop boxes everywhere, and I can still pick off what I want to use. So I find the REAC box is really good. On one of the broadcasts we did at the Opera House, the Roland came into its own. I was actually there to mix the band, just sub-mix the band, send the music mix down to the truck where we're adding all the talkies. And the truck was using an analog core, and they were having earth problems like you wouldn't believe. There was hums on everything. They had 6 guys trying to fix it. No one could fix it. No one could sort it out. So in the end, I put my hand up and said, how about we just put everything through me, because it's digital, and I'll just give you a mix down to the truck. So we whacked a REAC box down at the truck. I took all my on stage, added all their inputs in, mixed it all, sent it all to air, and all they did was take the outputs of the box from me at the truck, plug it into air, and off we went. And I think in that sort of situation, you can see where the digital multi-core, along with the speed of setting up the Roland and the flexibility to add more inputs and put it on my user fader really quickly, meant that we were able to go have a successful broadcast. Otherwise, we would have been in real trouble, I think. A lot of people come up to me all the time saying, you know, what'll I buy, what'll I buy, what'll I buy? And the temptation, of course, these days is to go for the cheapest thing on the market, because on paper they all look the same. You know, we're getting this many channels, we're getting a reverb, we're getting, you know. But the truth is, when you actually back them up side by side, which I do with people, they don't sound the same. So I say to a lot of people, you should spend your money, and if you haven't got the money, save a little more. Spend the money on something that is going to live with you for a long time, because you're not going to change consoles very much. You might buy new mics, new other gear, but your console is the heart of your system, and you tend to buy one, live with it, love it, keep it. I would recommend for a lot of churches, theatres, schools, that they seriously look at the Roland product. As we've already covered, the ability to teach people really quickly, for people to get very comfortable with the gear very quickly. They can achieve everything they need to achieve. There's very few things on the Roland that you would say are a limitation, except things that are found in consoles worth 10 times the money. So I really think people should seriously look at the Roland product, because it offers so much more than what I think is around there in comparable price brackets.